Welcome back to episode 7 of Abiotic Factor Story Mode. If this is your first time here, I suggest starting from the beginning. There will be a playlist in the description for your convenience. Previously, we lit up the synchrotron, carving a hole into the facility, which gave us access to the Cascade Labs. Our first goal was to get to the inner wing, which, after crafting a tier 3 hacker, we were able to access, where we were met with a small horde of zombies in front of a massive portal. After making sure all my gear was in good condition, I jumped through the portal. As soon as I entered, I was met with the sound of a dozen or so zombies banging on the doors of what seemed to be a furniture store. It didn't seem like they'd get in anytime soon, so I moved on. Found another button, similar to the one outside the portal, and pressed it. It didn't seem to do anything at the time. As soon as I got back to the main area though, I saw there was 5 lights, and one of them changed colors. Maybe that's what the button did. If that was the case, 4 more to go. From what I gathered from an emergency broadcast, as well as decorations around the place, around Christmas, there was a virus spreading around that basically turned people into zombies. Eventually, I found another button, which did indeed turn on another light. In the basement, I found 2 more, and finally, a final one on the 2nd floor. The buttons ended up activating an elevator, which led me to the top floor, where there was a portal. It also seemed like a fairly safe area for a base, if I didn't mind zombies in my basement. Having nothing else to do in this area, I jumped through the new portal. Doing so brought me to a new area. I did notice a path that seemed to lead to containment, so I headed there, as my inventory was full. On the way, I almost ran right into Leyak. Going down the elevator led me to near the area I'd gone into the portal, letting me go back to where I was, easily now. On my way back to base, I was met with the realization that zombies were now all over the facility. Hopefully that won't prove to be an issue in the future. As I was nearing my base, I got a warning that there would be another attack from the Order. But as soon as I heard that, things went back to normal again. Odd. At base, I organized my gear, then made some soups. By the time I was done, lights went out, so I slept. Day 34, I wasted no time. I ran back to the elevator, almost making it there before the lights turned back on. As soon as I got back, I almost immediately realized I needed more Leyak essence, which would mean blasting that floating creature with X-rays. Thankfully, I was able to get the blueprint for a portable X-ray device. So I headed all the way back to base to make that, where I realized I needed more stuff. So I immediately went back to labs. On my quest to get resources, I discovered a new area I could access with my hacker. Inside seemed to be basically a mini Antiverse in containment. Exploring led me to believe it was containment for a few species of the peccary variety. I realized that this was the wildlife pens, and the area before is the containment megalift. I got them backwards. For the handheld X-ray, I needed to gather jailbroken CPUs from the containment security bots. Unfortunately, I only knew the location of one by heart, and had to search for the second. Eventually, I located another battling specimens. But the lights had gone out by then, so I slept on a couch since the Chopinator needed power to run. Day 35, I managed to track down that security bot and deal with it. Unfortunately, I was stuck on getting an Antiverse gem. Last thing I needed. But then I remembered there was material exchangers. One of the exchanges being Antiverse gems. I just don't remember where it was. So, after searching basically the rest of the day, I finally found it. It needed Antiverse wheat, which there was a ton of in the wildlife pens. So after collecting a bunch, I was able to get 32 Antiverse gems. When I got back to base, I crafted the X-ray lamp right away, and got ready for nighttime. Day 36, I located Leyak and hit them with the X-ray lamp, though they just disappeared and didn't drop anything. While waiting for Leyak to appear again, I went about doing neglected things, such as crafting a beekeeper suit and dealing with a few highs I knew of, which gave me new resources. As I was crafting, Leyak appeared, and this time I was able to get an essence from them. 3 more to go. At night, there was another biological incursion. It's basically every night at this point. I was wandering around the plaza when a few creatures spawned in out of nowhere. After killing them, it ended. At least they were easy to deal with. Day 37. Since I was just wandering around waiting for Leyak to show up, I decided to remake my base inside of the plaza since all points so far was leading there, or close to there. I wanted to set up a system to auto-kill the plaza's security bot since it would be in the way, for which I needed more energy cells, so I headed back to Flathill, assuming it had been reset, letting me get another power cell easily. On my way up the tower, however, I came across a terrifying looking creature I had never seen before. It was quite the fight. It kept rolling around and disappearing, only to show up with a few extras, which turned out to be fakes, but finally I was able to kill it. It dropped its head and porcelain shards. Finally, getting to the top of the tower, I grabbed the power cell and headed back to base. After clearing out my inventory, I headed back to labs to do some resource collecting. I needed stuff for my new base. Day 38. I started by doing another resource run. From there, I crafted some industrial batteries and set them up near the security bot, as well as a few Tesla towers. So now, theoretically, when it came off its charging bay, it'll be stunned and shocked to death, never to disturb my base. As I waited for night, I went to go quickly kill off another containment security bot, and by the time I got back, it became night, and I watched the Tesla coils take care of the security bot in mere moments. I did have to adjust the position slightly since they did take some damage, and as I was working on that, Leyak appeared and I got another essence. As I finished fixing the bot killer, I headed to sleep as the lights turned on. Day 39. I started working on my base by placing down a crafting table. As I was moving it around trying to find the perfect position, Leyak once more appeared, and I got another essence. One more and I'd have all I need. Realizing I don't have all the resources I need to build what I wanted to build for the base, I decided to do more material collecting for now instead. In my exploration, I found an area I somehow have never came across before. It had a few things I hadn't seen before, namely a graham seed, as well as the recipe for a research pack. On my way back to base, I got my final Leyak essence. In the middle of the night, I woke to low groans, and found there was a zombie attack at my other base. After dealing with it, I realized it might be smart to set up my base once I had everything ready, so I took down the crafting bench and stored it for now. Day 40. I wasted no time and went to grab the Leyak essence, heading straight to labs in the inner wing. As I did, there was another power anomaly in the office sector, turning off all the lights in the facility. But, ignoring that for now, I headed up the elevator to where I needed the Leyak essence. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider liking and subscribing, and I will see you next week.